It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at Sylvion. Sylvion here is a solitaire game. It's really for 1 or 2 players. And in it, you are trying to save the forest from some evil fires. That sounds weird because the game is set in the Oniverse setting. And in this world, we have now Oniverse, and we also have Sylvion, of which I'll also be doing a review. In this one, you are, it's like I said, defending the forest, and it's sort of a tower defense sort of vibe to it, or forest defense. Let me show you briefly how the game works. I'm not going to explain the 2-player game. I'm not going to explain some expansions that are included in the game. I'm just going to give you the basics here to give you an idea if it's something you might like. And then I'll tell you what I thought of it, okay? And I'm going to compare it, put it in context, or at least, say where it fits in compared to the other games in this line. So here we go. In this overview, I'm going to be showing you the 1-player game, and I'm going to be showing you the normal level of difficulty, not the introductory game, nor any of the expansions. At the beginning of the game, the first thing that happens is the player is going to construct their playing deck by drafting cards from here. And quite simply, the way it works is like this. You're going to shuffle up these cards, and you are going to... These cards, by the way, represent the trees and the burnt trunks on the other side. So this is plush, good to go, not so good. But they also have a number in the corner, which is the one thing we're worried about for this draft part. And then we are going to flip over 4 cards into 4 different stacks. I'm going to draft one of these stacks, and that becomes part of my eventual deck. Then I do it again, and I put a card in each pile. And then I flip over one of these. I look at the number, in this case it's a 2, and these are gone. They're out of the game. And again, I flip. Again, I will draft. And this time I'll take, let's say, these. Put them in my deck. And again, flip. And again, flip out one of these cards. This time it's 3, so these are lost. And so on. I'll continue doing this. Every time, this can only go up to 4 cards, by the way, in a stack. I'll continue doing it until these are gone, pretty much. There's a couple of different ways it can end, but pretty much until these are gone, okay? And once that's done, then I have an actual deck that I'll play with that I've sort of customized through this draft, and then the game proper can start. Let me show you that. This is what the playing space will look like. Over here we have the forest, all green and lush. And over here are the stacks of cards that are going to be attacking me, the fire beasties and baddies that are trying to burn this down. Over here is the rest of my deck. I've already drawn a hand of 8 cards. On the side here are some blazes cards. And these are going to, depending on some card play out here, intensify the fires that show up. My objective is basically at the very end of the game, once I've run out all these decks that are going to be slowly marching across and burning my forest, is to have the entire forest be green. If even one of these is flipped upside down and showing the burnt side, then I've lost the game. The turn goes like this. The first thing I do is I'm going to flip the top card of each of these stacks and deal with it. And some of them are simply fires, and some of them are action cards I need to deal with. The action cards like these have a letter in the top corner that let you know when it happens. And so the A's here, there's one A and another A, these are going to go first. And so I'm going to deal with those right now. And that one says I need to, from my hand of 8 cards, I either shuffle this up and discard 1 card randomly, or I get to pick 2 cards and discard them. For right now, I'm just going to do it randomly. So I'm going to discard 1 card randomly and another card randomly. That takes care of both of these. And then this one says, from my discard pile, same thing. Discard 1 randomly or 2 knowingly, but this is out of the game. And so, since there's only 2 cards in here, I might as well do it randomly. Let's say I shuffled up, and one got burnt completely, okay? So that one's out of the game. And this is just discarded. And I've now resolved that card. Now, all the fires on the board are going to march towards my tree line over here. And these on the edges here are really just there to help me see the lines of this 4x4 grid. Once that's done, then I get my reinforcement phase in which I draw 3 of these cards. I add them to my hand. And then I get to play my turn out. These cards that I'm playing from my hand have a couple of important pieces of information on them, most of them anyway. They'll have a cost in droplets up here, and every card is going to have a cost of sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes they are even free, as in that one is 0. And then below that, sometimes there is a shield. Sometimes, if it's trees, as in this case, the shield is 0. Any fire will burn this. Otherwise, if it's a fountain like one of these, then there's a shield there of 2. And some cards don't have that because they have some effect across the bottom there. So, as I said, that's the cost. How do I pay for them? Very simply by discarding other cards from my hand. And so let's say I want to trigger here these pigeons. And I would have to pay 1 card to do it. I'm going to pick this card. I'm going to discard it from my hand. And this says I get to discard the top card of each attack deck over here. Perfection. I'm going to get rid of that, and that, and that, and that. And I just made the game 1 round shorter for myself, which is great. Now I'm going to play out this fountain in front of this fire so that hopefully next round when this fire runs into this fountain, it's a shield of 2. It'll take out the fire and leave my fountain intact. I have to discard a card for that, so I'm going to get rid of this. And then I am going to discard this card here to play this one, which lets me draw 3 more. Fine, 1, 2, 3 cards. And now I am going to play this card, which I pay 1 and it gives me 3. I'm also using this obviously as a way to show you most of these cards. So let's say I'm going to get rid of this one to pay for it. And now I have 3 droplets. With those 3, I am going to build this, which is trees. I'll explain trees in 1 second. I'm going to put it behind this fountain here for a little bit of protection. That was my 3 that came from that card. And then I'm also going to build this one, which is actually free. And I'll put it there as well. Okay? So I've got 2 cards in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to these. And that was my turn. Again, as you can see, lots of different sort of combos you can make. And based on the deck building that already happened, my deck composition here sometimes can be drastically different, from game to game. Once that's done, and I've done whatever I want to do in that phase, I need to check my hand limit. I can only have up to 10. And then we start a new round where I, again, will flip over a card from each of these, like so. And then we deal with each card. The B says, again, I'm going to lose some cards from my discard pile completely. So there's that, whatever. I'm just going to take a couple and get rid of them, let's say. So let's say I got rid of those 2 permanently. And then this one is the Blaze card. What this means is that every 1, 2, or 3 card out here, fire, kicks up by 1. And every 0 explodes into a 4. This is bad news, because that means that this one is replaced by a 2. This one is replaced by a 2. Let's get rid of it. And let's find a 2 in here. Come on. A 2. And this 0 here is replaced by a 4. And now that I've dealt with every card, the fire marches on. This moves here. This one goes toe-to-toe with this fountain. If it had still been a 1, fountain takes care of it. Boom. No problem. Now, they're actually tied. It's 2 fire and 2 shield over here. So they are going to take each other out. And for getting rid of one... Oh, come on. Getting rid of one of my fountains, I get to draw a card. So whenever one of my fountains gets taken out by fire, I get to draw a new card from the deck there. And then this one marches as well. And now it's my turn where I draw reinforcements, I get 3 more cards, and I continue playing. I can do, again, lots of different combinations with this. Don't forget, when something gets all the way to here and then moves on again, then it's going to burn a number of trees equal to the flame. And so if this happens, I'm not able to stop it, and it hits this line in, assuming there's no extra movement, in 1, 2, 3, 4 turns. Then I'll take 4 of these trees and flip them over. The way they come back is if at the end of the game I have some of these trees on the board, like these, then they are going to flip back some trees. And if they're all green, then I'm golden. And the other way is throughout the game, if you have some of these cards here, the, is that an elk or something like that? Then he's going to, for free, because it's got a 0 cost, then you're going to flip some trees back. You can either do 2 of the tree cards back, or 1 per tree replenishment card here on the table. So right now it would be the same thing. It's 2 or 2. But if I build this bad boy, then this option is better. It's 3. Okay? And there's a bunch of different actions like that. This one's great. It lets you knock out a fire straight up, so this is not going to happen. I'm going to make sure I nuke it. Lots of things like that. Once these are gone, then the last flip of them, they're just going to basically march all the way up. Then I check these. I check these around the outside. If they are all green, I win the game. Otherwise, I lose. And also, if they're ever all burnt during the game, then I will also lose the game. And that's basically how you play. There's a lot to like in this game. I love the draft at the beginning. I think that's a really cool idea. And yeah, it makes the game a little bit longer to sort of, drop it on the table and get going. But it's cool being able to customize the way you tackle the challenge. I dig it a lot. And the way the piles vanish, clever idea, very simply implemented, clean way, but very clever. So I like that. The gameplay itself took some figuring out, but then again, all these games in this line take some figuring out, which is, I think, why I like them so much. And this one's no exception. It works very well. I like it better as a solitaire game, and that's probably true for most of this line. The 2-player game works, but I like it better as a solitaire game. The main difference being the other player pays cards for you to play your cards on your turn. I just don't care. It's better solitaire. And so I like it. Now, it's not Onirim. Onirim's my favorite in this line by far. I think this is a brilliant design. This was the first one. And nothing yet has come close to it, really. But I do like this one. However, Castellian, I like even more. That might be because it's a little closer to Onirim. That could be. But I like it quite a bit. It stands out definitely from the rest of the line. It's tiles versus cards for one thing. It's just a little bit of a different vibe. But this one should not be discounted. Take a look at it if you like solitaire games at all. If you like the whole tower defense vibe, check it out. Nice challenge, interesting puzzle game, cool look to it. It just is neat. The one thing I don't like, and I will mention, is that I think the game has quite a footprint to it versus the other ones in the line. This one you kind of need a big old table for, versus the other ones you could play pretty much anywhere. You got to set that 4x4 grid, which is really a 5x5 grid because of the card types outside it. So be aware of that. This one takes more room. But other than that, great little game. I recommend it very much if you like solitaire games. That is Sylvion.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.